Winter going on and on, don't worry, I've got you. It may be cold and often gloomy, but the gardener's heart is full of warmth and optimism. So here's my selection of vegetables you can get on and sow right now. I love all kinds of alliums, onions, shallots, leeks, and of course garlic. And guess what? They can all be sown right now. So first up are my onions. Now onions can be started three ways, from sets, which are basically immature bulbs that then grow into the full-size bulb, as young plants called starts, or from seed. My preference is for seed, and this is for a number of reasons. They are obviously cheaper, they're less likely to introduce diseases such as white rot, and plants grown from seed are less likely to bolt or flower prematurely, which will render the bulb inedible. So you've got two ways to start onion seeds. You can sow them into pots and then grow them on as seedlings, separate them out, and then transfer them into their own plug tray, one per plug. I'm doing something a little bit different this season. I'm going to be sowing a cluster of seedlings into each plug. The idea is that they'll be grown on as seedlings together. Then once they're up, they'll just be grown on. This will save me time because there will be no thinning required. I won't have to handle those delicate seedlings, and planting out will be a bit quicker too, because I'll be able to plant them a little bit further apart at about 10 inches or 25 centimetres apart in both directions. These are going to be germinated indoors on a warm windowsill. Then once they're up, they'll be brought back out here to continue growing. They'll grow on as a cluster. Then when it comes to harvesting, I'll just twist free the biggest bulb in each cluster and let the smaller ones grow on, and so on. Shallots are basically like small onions, though please don't tell them that because they have the most gourmet flavour and are a cut above. What I really love about shallots is that they store for absolutely ages, months at a time, meaning that they'll keep your pantry full of alliums right through the year, long after your onion store is depleted. Now I'm starting shallots here from sets. Just like onions, they can be started from seed, but for me at least, in this instance, sets win out because the seeds will produce just one bulb each, whereas each of these sets, of these shallot sets here, will produce a cluster of bulbs of up to around 6 bulbs. Now I'm just pushing them into the ground here about 6 inches or 15 centimetres apart, so that just the very tips, these bits here, are left showing. That gives them plenty of room to produce their new cluster of bulbs. Now, pigeons and other birds may potentially mistake the tips here for a juicy worm. So if you do find they get lifted out by prying beaks, just push them back in, or if it continues to be a problem, maybe cover the area with some sort of row cover or perhaps a low wire mesh, something like that. If it's really cold where you are and the soil isn't yet workable, then do wait until spring to plant your shallots. Both onions and shallots and these garlic, which are next to them here, love a sunny spot in fertile soil. I improve this area with plenty of well-rotted compost before planting time. Now garlic, these were planted in autumn and they're already up and doing really well. But if you haven't planted yours yet, don't worry, get them in now. If it really is very cold where you are, perhaps the ground is frozen solid or under a few feet of snow, then you can plant your garlic cloves into pots of potting mix and grow them on under cover, then plant them outside in spring once the soil is workable. Just look at the sorry state of what was my fava bean or broad bean bed. We had a really cold snap earlier in the winter and these were quite high and just got completely annihilated, and it was all looking so promising. Never mind, it's time to sow some more. So I'm going to be starting my fava beans off inside this time in the greenhouse, which should avoid any upsets with late cold snaps later on in winter. And I'm going to be sowing them into these toilet roll tubes here. This gives a slightly deeper root run, which the beans will absolutely love. Now I've nicked these from my daughter, who has this art collection bag here. We were literally fighting over them, over whether she gets them for the art or I get them for sowing my beans, but I've won over, but we will be replacing them, I promise. So the big chunky seeds are going in about 1 inch or a couple of centimetres deep. and then I'll just cover them over and give them a good water to set them on their way. Right, these will grow on, and once they're about 2 to 3 inches or 5 to 7 centimetres tall, they will go outside, and I will plant them about 8 inches or 20 centimetres apart in both directions. It's too early to sow other types of beans, but it's not too early to wake up a planting of peas. Now choose a variety that is suitable for sowing this early and grow them on under cover. This not only protects them from the cold out there, but also keeps them away from mice, which absolutely love to feast on these delicious pea seeds. I'm sowing them into these slightly bigger plug trays here. I wouldn't recommend growing them in flats or seed trays and then planting them out, because you might damage the delicate roots. So just fill your plugs up and just firm it down and make a little depression for your seeds. And then I'm going to aim for 2 to 3 seeds per plug like this. And then just cover them over, and again we'll give these a good water. These will be going out in early spring, about 4 inches or 10 centimetres apart. Peas are great for pods, but they're also great for eating as a leafy green, particularly when you consider how quick growing and space saving they are when grown this way. Look at this tray here. This was sown exactly 1 week ago, and now they're all up. How incredibly exciting. Let's sow some more. I'm going to make another sowing into these fruit trays, or you could use an old mushroom tray. Just make sure that they've got holes in the bottom here, or just skewer or puncture some in to make sure there's enough drainage. These are great because they're a couple of inches deep, which is perfect for peas. So we'll just fill up the tray with any all-purpose peat-free potting mix and just firm it down like that. And then we're going to space the seeds roughly 1 inch or a couple of centimetres apart, so each seedling has enough room to kind of properly grow and do its thing. The great thing about small trays like this is you could, in theory, sow them, say, 1 every 3 or 4 days, and then grow them on to have a succession of leaves to cut, so you're never short of pea shoots. And this is one thing that's really worth growing because they're not particularly cheap to buy. Cover them over and then give them a good water. These are going indoors under grow lights to help them grow nice and strong and to get that lovely sort of fleshy tendril growth that we need for our pea shoots. Other leafy lovelies to try under grow lights include lettuce, spinach and any salad leaf mix. These will give a fresh cut of leaves at a time when fresh greens are very precious indeed. It's also worth pushing the envelope and starting off some salad leaves that will eventually end up outside or in the greenhouse here rather than under grow lights, and lettuce is a prime candidate for this. I'm going to sow the fine seeds into pots, then cover them with the slightest suggestion of a little more potting mix. Then I'll pop over a sheet of glass or secure a polythene bag over the top to up humidity and hasten germination. Germinate them indoors or on a windowsill or under grow lights if you have them, then transplant the seedlings into plug trays once they're big enough to handle. Grow them on in a bright, protected environment until it's time to plant them out, either in a month's time or early spring if it's still a bit chilly. Incidentally, if you are new to all of this sowing and planting lark, you won't want to miss our Back to Basics Starting from Seed special. It'll be out in a few weeks' time when sowing really picks up pace, so make sure you're subbed and have turned on notifications so you don't miss it. Another leafy staple is cabbage, and summer cabbages can be sown, you guessed it, right now. Summer cabbages often have great dense heads full of nutritious leaves. They're just wonderful. I'm going to sow them into plug trays, and I'm going to sow just 1 or 2 seeds per plug like this. And then if I get 2 seedlings coming up, I will just pinch out the smallest seedling to let the biggest one grow on. These cabbages will grow on in here, and then I will plant them out in about 6 weeks' time, and they will be spaced about 20 inches or 50 centimetres apart in both directions. I've improved some ground with plenty of well-rotted manure, and I think they will rather like that. If you have somewhere warm to germinate seeds, and crucially somewhere that is way above freezing to grow on the resulting seedlings, then late winter is a great time to start off fruiting vegetables like peppers or eggplant or aubergine. Let me emphasise, it really is important that you've got somewhere that's well above freezing to keep your seedlings snug. If you can't give them that, there's no advantage to starting this early, and you're better off waiting till early spring. So let's start some chili peppers, and eggplant or aubergine would be started off in pretty much the same way. So I'm going in with my potting mix, and I'm using a seed starting mix here because it's a little bit finer, which will be good for the smaller seeds. And then I'm just going to space the seeds nice and evenly across the top. I've not got many here actually, I've just got 5 seeds by the looks of it. Most of these usually do germinate. There we are. And then a little more of the potting mix over the top. And then I'm just going to give these a water now before I cover them over with some clear polythene. And I haven't got any elastic bands to secure it with, so instead I've nicked again one of Isla's little hairbands. I'm going to be in so much trouble. Anyway, there we are, that's all good to go. This is going to go indoors on a warm windowsill. The aubergines or eggplant, they really do need extra warmth. They love it really toasty, so if you have a heated propagator for those guys, do use it. Once the seedlings are up and big enough to handle, I will carefully tease them apart to pot into their own pot, to grow on initially on a sunny windowsill indoors, then once it's warm enough outside here in the greenhouse. Now this greenhouse is never heated, so if it does get frosty later in spring, I can just gather up the seedlings and keep them indoors for the night, and then they will come back out here once it's warm enough. If hot chili peppers are your thing, good on you, then do check out my video on that, link in the description down below. Well, it feels just great to have all these goodies sown and planted. I've got a really good feeling about this coming growing season. If you are new to vegetable gardening, then do check out this playlist with lots of inspirational and practical ideas. In there, you'll find my secrets to success with seedlings, perfect for ensuring your early starts really get away to a good start. I'll catch you next time.